Samuel Burley Rowbottom, better known throughout the scientific community as Parallax. In 1881, he had published this book, Earth Not a Globe. Outlining dozens of experiments performed over many years, it quickly became the standard authority for anti-globularists. Perhaps the most significant experiments were those carried out on a canal known as the Old Bedford Level. Located in Cambridgeshire, England, the canal is perfectly straight over an uninterrupted 6-mile stretch. While there, Parallax conducted many experiments, all towards one conclusion: to prove that the surface of the water in the canal was indeed perfectly flat. In one experiment, a boat carrying a flag rowed from one bridge to another 6 miles away. An observer with a telescope placed 8 inches above the surface of the water found that the flag and the boat were distinctly visible throughout the entire distance. If the Earth is a sphere with a circumference of 25,000 miles, then over a distance of 6 miles, the second bridge should mathematically be 16 feet below the observer's eye line.
So, arriving at the bridge at Welsh's Dam, we noted our first potential problem. Out of all the active waterways across the country, it seems that the Old Bedford Level had not been maintained. So reeds and lilies had been allowed to overgrow and encroach into the canal from both banks, even into the centre of the canal in some places. But after surveying the stretch through a telescope and the P900s, it appeared there was actually a narrow but clear path to see all the way to Welney Bridge. Matthew began to paddle towards Welney Bridge, with 3 high-powered cameras with telephoto lenses, a telescope and multiple pairs of eyes trained on him. Back at Welsh's Dam, Matthew had progressed about 4 miles and could no longer be seen by the naked eye. However, he was clearly visible in the camera screens. 500 years ago, observers would claim that they could see ships disappear over the horizon hull first, just as Matthew had done to our naked eyes. However, these ancient observers did not have access to the Nikon FinePix P900. So an enduring myth was dispelled, and that so-called proof of the curvature of the Earth was rendered invalid. The weather on the day was rather strange. One moment it was hot and sunny, and the next it was raining. But throughout, the atmosphere was thick and muggy, and there was a heat haze coming off the water. So under those conditions, we began to lose sight of Matthew's bright orange life jacket and white paddles at about 5.5 miles. When he finally reached Welney Bridge, Matthew began waving the paddle and the laser, which by that time had unfortunately exhausted its battery. Back at Welsh's Dam, I was making a last attempt to find Matthew through the telescope, when I caught sight of blurry white flashes, which I took to be the paddles waving back and forth. However, Dave Marsh, who had been operating his Nikon P610 until its battery died, pointed out that it was actually traffic crossing a bridge that he could see in the background for most of the experiment. It was realised that the only road bridge on that stretch of canal was in fact Welney Bridge itself, and the cameras could see the cars crossing the bridge 6 miles away throughout the experiment. Although the experiment was a rather ad hoc affair and not performed under ideal conditions, not a hint of curvature was detected.